Okay, so now we're here in Painter and we have the maps baked down and we have the scene ready and we can now start texturing. So the first thing we're gonna do is the wood. So we're gonna start by I'm gonna add a folder, wood, and we're gonna help ourselves with a smart material just for this start. Which one was it? Oh, I meant not a smart material. Yeah, I was looking for wood rough in the smart materials, but it's in materials, so we're gonna put this inside the folder. And of course, for this folder, we're gonna add a black mask. Oh, I have my references here in the other monitor, so I don't block anything in the main monitor. So I'm gonna be looking at the references, but I'm gonna be saying everything I'm doing. So I'm adding a black mask, then a paint. I'm gonna click 4 for polygon selection, and then if you go here, I'm clicking Alt and the mask, so everything you're seeing here is the mask. So this one selects by triangle, this one by polygon, I think. Yeah, polygon fill, which is pretty much the same. Triangle fill, polygon fill. This is the mesh, so if I click here, the entire mesh for the handle is gonna be selected. And if I click here, just the UVs, so if you see, the top part is not selected. So for now, what we want is the entire handle, since the entire handle it's gonna be wood. So now that we have the wood rough, we're gonna change some parameters so it's closer to what we have in the reference. So let's go down here to the color, and I'm gonna pick on the other monitor a color from the picture, but you can also wait. You can also select it like here, like close to brown, or in the references I'm gonna share. Just select one of the like a brown from the handle. Uh, Also, yeah, this is a good start. We can also change this to triplanar. Uh, 2, and as you can see, when I changed it to triplanar, now it's rotated, so I need to rotate it 90 degrees. And yeah, and this is what we have now. And the fact that we have it exploded here, we can come back here and see how it's looking here or how it's working all together. I prefer to look how it's working all together, but you can go back and forth. Um, so now what we can do is we can add a filter for this one. And let's go contrast luminosity. And let's just tweak this one a little bit. Something like this. Let's add another filter. Let's try HSL perceptive. And let's just switch the saturation a little bit. But something like this. Okay. So this is our base, but of course we're a long way to go. Let's add a fill layer. Now we're gonna add the fibers. Oh my god, fibers. Which, like I was saying, when we started working on the model, I said that we were not gonna work on this in ZBrush, and neither for the leather or the wood. So we're gonna make the entirety of the wood here in Substance Painter, and it's gonna look fine, like nice. Don't worry. Don't think that it's gonna lack like quality. It's just uh, a different way of working. So let's change here. Let's if you here in Substance Painter, if you I have all these channels turned on. If for example I only want color, I click Alt and then click on color, and everything turns off except for the one that I want. And but for this one I want color and height. And for color I'm gonna select another brown from the picture, from the reference, and let's give it a little bit of height just for now, something like this. We'll see if we change it once we have them. And then we are gonna add a black mask, and let's work with some noise. Let's see. Oh wait, add black mask and then a fill, anisotropic noise. Okay, let's see. Can scale these a lot. And if you scale it here, it's scaling uniformly on both axes. And if I click here, if I put, let's say 30 here and 15 here, it's no longer uniformly. So we can do something like this. And let's make the balance like way less. Something like this. And let's up the contrast so they're, if I have it here, they're like bleeding into each other, but it depends on what you want. And for this one, let's up the contrast so they are more like individually from each other. So we have something like this. And yeah, this is what we want. Like this is giving the idea that the wood is no, and this is not everything I'm gonna be doing. This is just like the start, but we're building the wood. So this is starting to give the idea that's more organic, more natural, rather than just the texture for the wood. Okay, so let's add another fill layer. Let's alt click on color and let's select a darker brown. And if you want, you can also select, for example, this one, and then here, like make it darker. Or if you prefer, like go into the picture and select a darker part from the picture. And now we can maybe try smart mask. Let's see which one was the one that I'm looking for. Oh, I didn't even. We can add a black mask. A black mask. Oh, and for adding black mask, I'm gonna remove it. I right click on the layer I want to add it, and I go add black mask. Another way is here, add mask, and you can go add black mask. And for adding fill layers here, paint layers or effects. For the effects, you can also, these ones are also here. For example, if I go uh, add black mask, and then here I want a fill layer. You've seen me do it like I hit right click and then I add a fill. But you can also, once you have a mask, you can go effect and then a fill or a levels or whatever you want to add. So black mask, and then let's try this one. Okay, so we can call this like dust or something like that. Oh, it's saving. So and add another fill layer, and let's call this one dirt, and let's go just color and roughness. Let's make it pretty rough because dirt's pretty rough. And let's select like a lighter brown, and let's add a black mask, and let's try a generator this time, and let's try this one. So let's go mask, and let's reduce, oh, not all of it, like let's make it something like this. Let's tweak the contrast, something like this. Okay, after this, now we can add another fill layer. And in this one, it's where we're gonna make it look like it's sculpted or something. Let's select first the color, like a lighter brown. Let's already give it some height. And for the roughness, we can also make it pretty rough. Also change the, let's add a black mask. Let's add a fill. And let's plug this one here. Let's change it here for get bigger. Of course, we need to rotate it. We might need to move this one, but we'll see once we start adding more details. Okay, so now we can create an anchor point. Let's use a high pass. Something like this. Let's go levels, and like I said, for the levels you can go right click and click levels, or effect and click levels, but yeah, I like to do right click. Once we have the levels, we can start tweaking this, then like, oh, something like this. We can add another filter. This time blur, but not that much, like just a little bit. Now we can add one more level. Bring this one here. Bring the values a little bit like this. We can add another filter. This time, but not that much. Like very, very subtle. Like this. And yeah, this is what I want. And like I said, we can go back to the triplanar box for the wood American, and you can make it look how you want. Maybe something like this, like it's pretty rough. So we can move this one until we get like a desired. And like as you saw, I reduced the high pass because I was not liking like the big shapes it was creating. This is looking to me. So yeah, um, can even this, but just keep tweaking it until you get something. Oh my god. Okay. I'm sorry. There was a spider here in my room. That's why I kept like being distracted. So yeah. Um, you can keep tweaking it. For example, if you don't like big chunks of fiber thingies, you can tweak the levels or the high pass to your liking. So I think for now we can always come back once we start adding more damage and whatnot. So I think something like this looks nice. Makes it look like it's a like not a perfect piece of wood, which it wouldn't be. So also I wanted to add a paint. Click 4 I'm gonna click X for like this is I'm gonna if it's 1 you're gonna paint in whatever you have here, and if it's 0 or black you're gonna remove whatever you have in the mask. So I'm gonna click 4 and then I'm gonna go UV. I'm gonna paint this one out and also the bottom out. And hit back M for the full material. So okay, now that we have this, we can start adding a damage layer. Let's add a fill layer. Call it damage 01. And then we only need color, height, and roughness. Color, let's pick one, like a darker one. For the okay, so let's make it pretty rough. So like 1.9 or so. Let's give it a little bit of height for now. Okay, so now we can add a black mask. A fill, textures, and let's scratches. And let's use these ones. So these ones we can tile them up. Something not uniformly. Of course, we don't want that much, so let's contrast. Something like this. Add another fill. But of course, let's okay. Let's do just 5. Like this, and let's change it to linears, adding on top of this one instead of just replacing it. So reduce it. So, and let's give it some extra variation with another fill. Noise. This one. Something like this. And this one, instead of normal, let's change it to subtract. And this is gonna give like a nice extra break up to the ones we have below. Okay, so we can add more damage now. Oh, and as you can see, now that I added a new fill layer, it's overriding and everything, but you can still see like all the build up height information we're doing, which makes it look really nice, like it's actually sculpted or it's a nice piece of wood, which is exactly what we want because we didn't sculpt anything, we're just doing it in the textures. So let's call this one damage 02. And for this one, let's pick a lighter color. Page. Give it some. And let's add a black mask. Add the black mask. So now that we have the black mask, we're gonna add generator and let's do the mask editor and let's start tweaking it to our liking. Let's first add like some textures. The secondary one. Something like this, but let's some nice wear to the handle, which is what we want. So now we can add some saturation because I think it was looking like some kind of orangey. Yeah. Okay, so I just reduced the saturation and let's add one more fill. Let's call this one scratches and let's see how they're looking. Like a very dark color. Give it some height. Of course, let's add the black mask, fill, and let's use one of the crunches. Let's search for scratches. Crunch scratches, crunch scratches. Oh, there we go. Select the mask like by clicking Alt and then click on the mask. Try. Let's go back to the projection. Try planar and let's fix the tiling. Something like 8. We can tweak it as we want, like we can do more, less, wider, thinner, longer, shorter. Let's make them shorter. This is how it's looking, and I do want to keep like a lot of scratches, but of course we can make them way less, like something. And these are the big markings from the damage, which are nice. Oh, it's saving. Okay. So once we have all of that, we can add again to materials. We can go wood, the same one, wood rough, and let's add it here on top of everything. And let's do the same too. Let's change the color to something closer to what we have. Uh, let's click multiply and let's make it like way less. Yeah. So it brings everything together. Nice. Yeah, I like this. I clicked saved, I'm sorry. There we go. And this is how it's looking. Very nice. Okay. So now we can work on the leather and at the end we're gonna work on the metal. So this is it for the wood for now. We can close the folder. We just saved it. Let's look what we need for the leather. Let's add a folder. See, so we're gonna need two colors. So let's make this one leather brown, which is like the main. This one is like a reddish brownish color, and these ones are all these are like a almost black leather. So okay, let's make this one first. Let's add a fill layer. This one's the base, and we're not gonna need metal, and we're not gonna need normal. So let's just pick the color from the reference, which is something like this. Of course, it's not shiny. Like this. So okay, there's multiple ways we can do leather. I was thinking on maybe doing the um, see uh, there on for example Polyhaven where you would get the HDRIs and whatnot. There's also textures there. I was thinking on maybe getting some uh, leather pattern because that's like the thing that will help you sell the leather is the pattern that has on the leather, like the cross cutting thingy for the leather. I'll show you. So I was thinking on rough. I was thinking on this one on downloading one, but it would be like a lot of a hassle. And I was testing it. I was testing the leather from the websites and whatnot, and I didn't like it that much. So then I decided to use one of these. For example, you can. I think these are both the same. Oh no, this one is the one I want because it has the pattern. But I'm not gonna use anything but the the pattern. So let's take the pattern out of the folder of the leather rough dark folder. Let's delete it, and this is the one we're gonna use. And of course, we don't want anything but height and roughness. And we can go to the and as you can see, this is a smart material already created here in Substance Painter. You can find it in the smart materials and type leather, and it's called leather rough black, as you saw. And oh, it's uh, you can dissect how it's working, and as you can see, there's a field with the cells 3, which I think you can find it here. Cells 3, which is this one, and this is like 99 90% of the way how you would need the pattern for the leather. So I just decided to use this smart material and take this one out, and of course tweak it to make it work for our project. So let's just increase the tiling to something like six or five, six. And this is the pattern. And of course, right now I have the textures are at 2K, and this is a small piece in the UVs and in the model. So if it's 2K, it's gonna look like this. Like it's not perfectly sharp. But once we make it 4K, or if we would make the UVs larger, they wouldn't look better. But this is what we want right now for the project. So we at the end we're gonna change it to 4K, and it will look nicer. But just so you know, like why it's looking like this right now, it's for performance purposes. So we have this, I'm gonna create an anchor point because uh, I'm gonna use this mask again. So wait, let's see if first of all, I'm gonna add a black mask in the leather folder, add a paint, click 4, and let's click X for white, and let's click here, M, this, for the beginning of our leather, which is nice. Okay, so let's continue. We have this now. We can create, let's create a folder that will control our roughness. Inside that, there's gonna be a fill here, but for that layer, we just need Alt-click roughness, and let's make it higher. Okay, so this is how it's looking. This roughness. Let's call it base. Let's add a black mask here. And for this one, here's where we're gonna use the anchor point. Let's add a fill to this mask, and here instead of plugging any texture maps or grunge generators or whatever, let's go here and instead of resources, anchor points, and let's do leather texture mask, which is the one we just created. Let's click alt click on the mask so you see what's happening. And now let's add levels, and let's invert this one. Yeah, and now the anchor point is helping the leather. Yeah, something like this. So now we can go and add, and instead of adding a fill layer, let's add just a layer. This one, let's call it HSL perceptive, so we know what we're doing. And for this one, we change it to pass through, add a filter, and of course we need the HSL perceptive. Let's tweak it. Let's make the saturation a little higher. The lightness just a little bit. And for this one, let's add a black mask. Add a fill layer. Use this one. Of course, we need to tile it to the proper, something like this. Let's tweak it. Yeah, and this is giving some nice variation to the leather, which is exactly what we want. let's do another one. And instead of, I think it's easier if we go HSL. Instead of creating the layer, we can just drag it here. Yeah. So now we have, instead of going layer and then naming it and doing the pass through and adding the filter, if you just drag this one, it's already done for you. So for this one, let's go just again, let's add some variation like this and make it darker. Something like this. Let's add a black mask. And let's call the anchor point again. Let's add a levels. And this is making the grooves a little darker. Okay. Let's add another chisel. Again, some variation with the saturation. Let's make it again darker because this is what we're gonna use this one for the edges to give it some darkness, to make it darker. Generator. Let's add a curvature. Let's tweak it. Let's give it more contrast. So if, for example, like this is gonna the darkness is gonna bleed all the way here, but we don't want that. We want to maintain it a little bit closer to just the edges. Something like that. So we can add another fill layer, and let's do like some dirt. And let's just do color and roughness, and let's select the color. First, let's give it like some high roughness and something like this. Add a black mask, and let's use the smart mask for this. Which one we can use? Let's try this one. And with this one, we can play however we want. For example, we can give it a lot of dirt or just a little bit. And of course, you can also change the color of the dirt if you don't like this one. And for it to blend better, we can make this one lighter. So we now have some dirt between the leather pieces. And now we can add the wear that's gonna be like on the edges of this, which is what's gonna make it look way better. Let's add a folder. call it damage or something like that. Let's help ourselves. Let's just change the color to what we have here in the reference. So now let's add a black mask here. Let's add this smart mask. Let's tweak it a little bit. And as like there's no wrong or right way of doing this. If you want to keep it like super subtle like this, it's fine. Or if you want to make it very grungy on the edges, it's fine. Like don't think that you need to do it exactly like this. Like just look at the reference, see what you want to change and what you want to keep and whatnot. Let's add another fill here. Let's let's go to textures, grunges. Add this one. Let's change it to triplanar. Oh, something like 6. Saving. Let's change this one to screen so we don't lose the edges. Something like this. We can add a generator and we can combine the edge Uber with the nice metal edge wear. And of course we can also change this one to screen. And you can tweak it if you want. I mean, you should tweak it as you want. So something like this is looking nice. And of course, so this doesn't take over, we can make it like a 50% or something. Yeah, this makes it look really nice. I always like the metal edgeware because on top of affecting the edge, if you do a lot of for example, I'm gonna do it just so you can see. If I increase the edge, the wear level, you can see it's not only affecting the edge, it's also affecting some kind of way here, which is nice because you can do like something like this, very subtle, and it adds. Actually, maybe we should do it like something like that. Yeah. Now we can add a filter, sharpen, and of course not that much. Something like 0.5 or something. Nice. And see, like with the pattern, the wear, the variation, and the like the wear on the edges, it makes it look really nice. Like it looks really nice. So with this one, what we can do now, it's duplicate all the folder. Let's name it leather black. Let's overwrite the black mask. Let's add a paint. Let's click 4 and let's add all these. All these. And right now, of course, it's also brown, which we don't want that. Let's open up. Let's go to base and let's grab a color from the actual reference. This, and also let's go to this one, the damage folder, leather rough, and let's grab a color from there. There we go. And we can for example, here, since it's smaller than this, we can reduce it somewhat, like 0.30 something. Also, let's see, crutches. Let's get rid of those. And the metal edgeware, we can also, of course, not all of it, like just something like that. Okay, so for example, here, as you can see, there's no edgeware or anything. So what we can do is we can copy this one, and for this one we can go a bigger a bigger balance and a bigger wear, and we can add a paint. And for this paint we can click 4, select black, and deselect this piece, and deselect this piece and this piece, and we can now get a nice edgeware here without affecting all this. And we can go on like top or something like that to keep it clean. So now we have the leather, the wood, and the black leather. So that's a way we can work on those. They look really nice. So now that we have the wood, and the leather, we can work on the metal. Which I think the metal, it's not easier, but not, for example, for the wood, you need to make sure that the grains are working correctly. And for the metal, I mean, it's a different kind of texturing. So let's work on that one. Let's just grab the reference. Let's help ourselves. Let's help ourselves with the a smart material. Let's go this metal and let's get rid of everything we don't want. We don't want the dirt, we can add those later. We don't want edges. Let's just keep this. Oh, let's add a black mask here like we've been doing. Add a paint, click 4, and let's add X for white, and let's add all these. So let's go base, and we can select a darker color for the metal. Should we change this one as well? No. So okay. So what we can start doing, let's add some edgeware like here in the reference, like just some basic color, roughness, metal, the metal of course 1, roughness we can reduce it a little bit. Let's add a black mask, generator, and the basic cool metal edgeware. Okay, we can have this for now. Okay, let's duplicate this one. Let's call it blade. Let's add, wait, I'm gonna do like a trick here. Let's make this one like 1. Reduce the control. Something like this. Let's add paint, multiply, brushes. Let's paint it here. And it doesn't matter if you go like a little bit here. It's fine. That makes it look good. Let's just paint everything here. Like this. Let's add another paint on top of this one. Let's finish just these parts because these are important. Okay, so now we have this. It's saving. Let's get this one out from the iron old. Let's delete this one and let's work a little bit on this one. Let's open the basic parameters and let's reduce the height because I don't want that much information. Something like this. Let's add levels. tweak it a little bit like that. Let's add another levels, but for the roughness. I mean, not the roughness, the height. And let's also try to reduce the height information from here. And let's blend it nicer. Also, yeah, let's reduce the normal intensity to something like this, because I want some height information, but not that much, because on the reference it doesn't look like. You can leave it like this if you want to, but because it's not incorrect. But for this one, I'm just gonna go with like a more subtle. Okay, so okay, so now we can go and add another one, another fill layer, and for this one we can call it edge where 02, and for this one I want like a big where. The previous one, it's just like a little bit on the edges. I'll make this one more. So let's add a black mask, and let's add the metal edgeware generator, metal edgeware. Let's tweak it. Okay, let's first, before messing with that one, let's add crunch map. I like. Let's change this one to linear, add Dutch. Not that much. Something like this. And let's reduce to be more subtle. Something like this. So I'm gonna add another fill layer, and this one's gonna be called damage. And let's do just height, roughness, and metal. something like this, and we'll tweak it. Let's add a black mask. Of course, also a fill layer. And let's drag this one here. For this one, what I'm trying to do is I selected this one, but for example, I did something like this, because otherwise if I go more, it starts getting like very noisy everywhere, and I don't want that. I want it to be like a nice balance between like spots and for example, here I can see like some brighter white spots, and if I increase the contrast, I isolate them. So that's what I want. So I'm gonna add another fill, and let's find one more like the same scratches we used before. Scratches. These ones, and let's plug them here. Linear add what? Linear dodge. And first let's work on the tiling. Six. I saved, so it's taking a little bit. Okay, so also for this one, doesn't make that much difference. We can leave it like that. Yes, something like this. And of course we can blur, add a filter, add a blur, but of course not that much. Minimal, like 0.1. And oh yeah, this is what's happening, but I don't want that much damage. That much damage. Oh, what am I doing? It's not this one. This is the one I wanted to reduce. So here, minimal. Otherwise it's gonna look like super noisy, and I don't want that. So let's go back to the mask, and let's go paint. Let's use dirt brush, dirt 2. So I'm gonna for this I'm gonna start like removing a lot, mostly from the blade. The blade is the part where I don't want. Let's I just want to leave some of those big ones, and if I don't like them, we can remove them. So just remove them from the blade part. And most of these, that's just noise. I don't want it. Let's see how these big ones on the back work. And also that. Let's just. Yeah, like something like this. Yeah, it looks nice. Like you can see, like it's just here. I left the blade like very. I don't want it that white. It's looking nice. Let's see. For example, here is what I meant. I don't want it to look like this. So let's just reduce it. Something like this. Here it looks nice. Okay. So now let's add one more fill layer. Let's call it stains. Let's leave roughness and metal. Pretty rough. Add a black mask. Let's use this one. Fill. And let's plug it here. Something like that. Yeah. Something like this. I'm gonna save again. And let's add some rust. Like very subtly because we don't want it to be like super rusty. So let's add another fill layer. Or wait, no. Let's go materials, rust, and let's add this one. Let's add a black mask, add a generator, and let's use this generator. And let's just make it more subtle and make it what we want. So something like this, and we can go add a paint and do the same trick where we paint only where we want it. Here, there, and of course we want it more subtle, like something like this. And we can also add this one and do the same. Let's add a black mask and let's just use this one. Yeah, something like this. Nice. So what we can do now is we can add, like when we created the when we plugged the smart material here, it had some dirt and dust, so we can add those ourselves. So let's just go fill layer, dust. Let's go color, roughness and metal, like this. Let's grab like a grayish. Add black mask, add generate, no, for this one we can use, there is one called dust soft. We can work on this one. Let's just make it more subtle like this. And like this. Let's reduce the, yeah, something like that. And we can go now and add dirt. Let's go color, roughness, metal, increase the roughness. Let's add a brownish color for the dirt, like just select it here, and add a black mask. And now we're gonna use the generator dirt, and so something like this. But of course I don't want all that there, so let's go paint and multiply. Let's keep some there, at the layer of dirt here. And I'm switching, like removing and X for adding, removing, adding. So if you were to watch, like for example, I'm adding and maybe removing, but it's better to look at it here. Also here, I'm adding some back here, but more subtly. And let's make the layer of dirt here. So yeah, something like this. I like pretty much how it turned out. And of course we can keep adding like whatever we want or removing for example, maybe this one, let's make it a little bit more subtle. And you can make it like cleaner. Like for example, let's remove the rust, or let's see this, or maybe the stains are too much, and you wanted like a cleaner version of it. You can remove most of it, like something like this, and it doesn't have that much wear, but still has some wear. Or maybe something like this, but keep the rust. Like there's multiple ways you can do it. Uh, I wanted to keep this one like with a lot of wear, just to showcase how you can add more interesting stuff to it without having like a sculpted high poly version of it. So for example, the wood, I'm pretty happy how it turned out, and this is something you can get just in Substance Painter with no um, normal or height information from the high poly. So yeah, this is what we have now. So let's bring this to Marmoset and we can work on the renders there. Let's export the textures. So okay, so I'm gonna show you how to export the textures. So you just go File, Export Textures, and you're gonna get this window. Just select where you want the textures to be saved, and this is the default output template you're gonna have, which is PBR metallic roughness, which is this one that you're gonna get a base color, roughness, metallic, normal, height, and emissive. But you can use this one, but I don't like that one. So when I was recording the course, that the premium course that I have available, I made this one, which is just a custom one. You click here on the presets, you click new, and you change the name to whoever you want, and maybe your name or just personal or export custom, like I have it here, and just plug the ones you want to export here. For example, let's say I want a base color. I click RGB, and then here uh, I oh it's I drag it here and I click RGB, and I have this one now. So this is what I have here, and this is the regular that you get uh, with the normal export um, how do you call it, settings. But you can use this one. Just know that if you use this one, since we're working here in Substance Painter with OpenGL, because we brought the maps from Marmoset, just know that this where is it, this normal that you have here, it's a DirectX normal. So if you export these maps and then you plug them in Marmoset toolbag, you're gonna have to flip the channel, the green channel for this one. Or you can, here in this metallic roughness, add a new one, like RGB, and plug the OpenGL, and you now have this one, and just name it, instead of RGB, just name the normal OpenGL or whatever. Also, this one doesn't have the ambient occlusion, so you would have to as well. For example, here I have the AO, which is a gray map, and I just drag the mixed AO here. You can also do that here in the, where is it? This is the regular one. Just know that you need to flip this one or add the OpenGL. Okay, so just remember that, flip this one or add this one. And if you want to add the ambient occlusion, click here on the grayscale, change the name to however you want to remember it, and drag the mixed AO here. And you're gonna get the AO channel now. So now with this one, if you export the PBR metallic roughness, you're gonna get the AO and this normal map, which is DirectX. Or if you add it, I'll show you. I'll just do it. This one, which is the OpenGL, and you just name it OpenGL normal or something like that, so you remember. And this AO. And then when you export it, you're gonna plug in the base color, the roughness, the metallic, this normal, and the AO. Or just create this custom one that I have here, which is base color, roughness, metallic, AO, and normal. And the normal is OpenGL. So yeah, I pretty much showed you how, which I thought I wouldn't. So let's do export custom or whatever you uh, ended up deciding on using. Let's do Targa. Remember to select the output directory for your textures, then go 4K and export. So now it finished exporting. Let's just click here, cancel. We already have them saved. We have this. Let's leave it open for now in case we see some errors in Marmoset toolbag and we want to come back and quickly export them back. So let's first go to Maya. And this is the last file we worked on. Let's just bring this back to the origin 000. Here, center the pivot, and let's export selection, just this one, like not the low or not the high, just the one that you have axe final, but put it in the origin, and then it doesn't really matter, but file export selection here in the export, and instead of low, change the name to final, triangulated, and export selection. And we can even like control Z here, and it's fine. We can leave this one as is, and we can even close. So now let's go into Marmoset. Now in Marmoset, we're gonna drag the axe final we just exported. Now with this one here, we can go to this default material and we start plugging in the textures. So I'm gonna plug the normal in the normal, the one that's roughness in the roughness, the color in the color. And if you use this one, because this is the default and the default it's already pure white. But if you're plugging your map in this one, make sure instead of gloss it says roughness, and instead of like this grayish color it's white. Like if you're wondering why your albedo looks different than in Substance Painter, is because maybe you're using this material and you didn't change this to white. So make sure you change this to white, and this one instead of gloss, roughness. But that's why I always use the default, because this one's already white and this one's already in roughness. So, and also make sure this one is sRGB color space. So let's plug the metalness in the metallic. Here in occlusion, click this little arrow occlusion, and let's drag the occlusion map here, and we can drag this one into the. And here we go. We have the textures in Marmoset. So for the renders in Marmoset, they're pretty simple. That's the nice thing about Marmoset. It's easy to make nice renders. So since we were working with aces in Substance Painter, let's change here in main camera from linear to aces. Also, let's where is it? Oh, here, field of view. Let's change it to 15 to make some nicer renders. Okay, for now, that's it. We might change some other stuff later. Here, let's go for double the resolution. Local reflection, let's just turn this on. Ludicrous for shadow resolution. Enable GI. Some ambient occlusion. Oh, what else? So what I also wanna, let's rotate this one a little bit, just like this, and let's start adding some lights. I'm gonna add like a basic 3-point light. Add one light here. Let's change it to Omni and make it like brighter. Here, Omni and make it brighter. And one from the back. Oh, also, let's go to camera, save frame. So it will be something like this. We can also go here and add more lights or whatnot. And yeah, like this is pretty much it. Like just this is already like the render quality you're gonna get. So they're looking, the textures are looking really nice. The wood is looking nice. The leather. Yeah, nice. They turned out really nice. So, for example, let's say you're happy with this shot. You added your lights, you tweaked your lights, and you're happy with this one. You go into capture settings. For example, just go like the biggest one, and here, if it's just a simple, a single image and your computer can handle it, go for 100. It's fine. And if you want to go and do some post processing in Photoshop, you click transparency and it's just going to render your model without any background like vignette on or anything. It's just going to render your model with perfect transparency, and you can bring this into Photoshop and make some nice like post effects, like a vignette or some grain, or I don't know, whatever you want to do. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, so select the resolution you want, like just the highest one, 400 PNG. Like I said, transparency or no transparency. Let's say no transparency. Okay. Okay, let me show you something else. Let's go to sky. I'm gonna make the color like not as dark. Let's go to camera. Here in camera, you can add a vignette here inside of Substance Painter, maybe some grain, and for example, this one you would go capture, um, settings, no transparency, and since you have the vignette and no transparency, it would be like this at the end. Just click OK. So let's say you're happy with this, happy with the lights, happy with the vignette and whatever, happy with the settings. Just click image and open, or even image, and it's gonna save the render for you, or image to clipboard or whatever, and that's gonna be like the final render. And that's it. Like that's how simple it is to render something here in Marmoset. Also, a nice thing I'm gonna show you as well, so you learn a lot from the videos. So you can add a turntable on this disk. By clicking this disk, you add this turntable, and then you grab your model and put it below the turntable. And if you click play, you get this nice animation for nice. I really like how it turned out. Even the leather, even though it's low poly, it looks nice. Okay, so yeah, that's it for this. Make sure to make some nice renders of your axe, or if you want to tweak something, go ahead and go back into Substance Painter. Yeah, let's say you tweak something here, just go again and export the textures, and don't change anything. Like just keep it like this, export again, and they will automatically update here in Marmoset. And yeah, that's it. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you learned something. and and I would really much like to see what you come up with in the Discord channel if you want to share. So thank you so much for watching.